So as you see today, the caption line is a contradiction founds the base of life. So this line is from Book 2, Canto 4, The Kingdoms of the Little Life. So first we'll read out the whole passage. In fact, we'll go a little backward from that caption line to get the whole picture. In the enigma of the darkened vasts, in the passion and self-loss of the infinite, when all was plunged in the negating void, non-being's night could never have been saved if being had not plunged into the dark, carrying with its triple mystic cross. Invoking in world time the timeless truth, bliss changed to sorrow, knowledge made ignorant, God's force turned into a child's helplessness, can bring down heaven by their sacrifice. A contradiction founds the base of life. The eternal, the divine reality has faced itself with its own contraries. Being became the void and conscious force, nations and work of a blind energy, and ecstasy took the figure of world pain. In a mysterious dispensation's law, a wisdom that prepares its far-off ends, plunged so to start her slow yawning game. A blindfold surge and wrestle, and fumbling clasp of a half-seen nature and a hidden soul, a game of hide and seek in twilight rooms, a play of love and hate and fear and hope, continues in the nursery of mind, is hard and heavy romp of self-born twins. So this is the whole passage, and in fact the first line, as we have taken, a contradiction founds the base of life. In this line itself, the whole thing is hidden. So as we know that the divine or the spirit took a plunge, he extended himself or opened up himself to see what he is, to experience what he is rather, and that is why he took a plunge downwards to his own nether state. And that is why this creation starts functioning on a base of contradiction, because it came down, because the creative, the divine reality or the creative Sat-Chit-Ananda, at the end of its downward plunge, is confronted with a totally opposite formation of itself, that is the triple poise. For example, Sat, the truth consciousness, has disappeared into a negative vacancy, a void. Then Chit, or consciousness, has become Nescience. Nescience is what? Absence of consciousness. Then the Shakti, force of consciousness, has changed into a mechanical unconscious energy. And finally, Bliss has undergone almost a virtual transformation into pain. So, all the higher states, when coming down and confronted with the lower, becomes the opposite of itself. That is why it is from this base of opposites the creation blossoms, as if taking plunge is only because it has to become divine in its upward ascension. So consequently, its nature, Earth's nature, or creation's nature, is riddled with contraries. That is why this line, a contradiction forms the base of life. In a mysterious dispensations law, a wisdom that prepares its far-off ends plans so to start her slow ionic game. And yet, even in this scenario of contraries, there is a seeing wisdom, a pragna, which is at work. And what is taking place is in the working out of a possibility seen in the self-vision and sanctioned by the truth will of the Supreme Divine. So this is a slow unrolling of a process leading towards a prefigured end, as if it knew what it was doing and leading the whole creation towards that end only. Then comes a blindfold search and wrestle and fumbling clasp of a half-seen nature and a hidden soul, a game of hide and seek in twilight rooms, a play of love and hate and fear and hope, continues in the nursery of mind, its hard and heavy romp of self-born twins. As life emerges and builds itself in the material world, there starts a game of hide and seek between the soul, which is yet hidden, and also the nature which reveals itself intermittently. So it's a game being played in a half light where consciousness is emerging gradually. So even with the advent of the mind, when the mind came in, even then the game continues of this hide and seek game, this play. Because soul and nature, they are inseparable. Both of them are inseparable, born with the creation itself. So one plays to find the other through all phases of attraction and repulsion, hope and fear, and this keeps on going forever as if. So all this is not a mechanical accident which seems to us because we do not know the reality of things which is going behind the screen. Because the divine in its plunge, when the divine took the plunge downward into his own nether state, he knew very well that what he is going to do. And knowing very well, he took the plunge so that out of this nation or the state of absence of consciousness, from there itself, or in there itself, he can bring in consciousness, so that out of matter or out of nations there can come matter, and out of matter there can come mind, and so on, until and unless in this return journey one can ascend to its summit of Sat-Chit-Ananda, the true spirit, and that too in the creation itself, on earth itself. And we can connect this to a beautiful passage which I have found in the Synthesis of Yoga, giving a detailed description. I'll just read it out for all of you so that we can connect it. The supramental transcendence is not a vacant wonder, but an inexpressible which contains forever all essential things that have issued from it. It holds them there in their supreme everlasting reality and their own characteristic absolutes. That is to say, the supramental transcendence, in it is contained everything, whatever can finally be expressed in the creation also, and especially as a focal point on earth. The diminution, division, degradation that create here means on earth, the sense of an unsatisfactory puzzle, a mystery of Maya, themselves diminish and fall from us in our ascension, and the divine powers assume their real forms and appear more and more as the terms of a truth in process of realization here. A soul of the divine is here slowly awaking out of its involution and concealment in the material inconscience. Because it is embedded here, it's when the divine took the plunge downward and coming down as if it became a slumber, he sort of has come into a forgetfulness of himself. It is also called the somnambulism. So out of this inconscient material, it is he only with his consciousness who is emerging out as consciousness in the whole creation, because he is the master of our works. The master of our works is not a master of illusions, as normally is believed to be, but a supreme reality who is working out his self-expressive realities delivered slowly from the cocoons of the ignorance in which, for the purposes of an evolutionary manifestation, they were allowed for a while to slumber. Now we can see that it is purposefully done by the divine himself. This, in the process of evolutionary manifestation on earth, coming down and becoming a sort of slumber here is only a point of process. For the supramental transcendence is not a thing absolutely apart and unconnected with our present existence. It is a greater light out of which all this has come for the adventure of the soul, lapsing into the inconscience and emerging out of it. And while that adventure proceeds, it waits superconscient above our minds till it can become conscious in us. So it waits for the process, the supermind. It waits for us when we gradually become conscious, then it takes charge of us in our ascension. So hereafter it will unveil itself, and by the unveiling reveal to us all the significance of our own being and our works. For it will disclose the divine whose fuller manifestation in the world will release and accomplish that covered significance. What normally seems to be our life, that is, that it doesn't have any aim at all, or some say that it's a mechanical accident that which has taken place and it has no goal, it has no purpose. We are here as an accident, and there is no purpose in the creation itself. That is why there are so many people who termed this whole creation, especially this earth, as a Maya. From that point, Mayavad starts. But in truth, it is not. It is a perpetual manifestation of the divine, which for its own purpose, the divine keeps on pulling and pushing towards his own end in his own time, because he has to prepare ourselves, the whole of earth, and it cannot be done in just one go. In that disclosure, the transcendent divine will be more and more made known to us as the supreme existence and the perfect source of all that we are. But equally we shall see him as a master of works and creation, prepared to pour out more and more of himself into the field of his manifestation. The cosmic consciousness and its action will appear no longer as a huge regulated chance, but as a field of the manifestation. There the divine is seen as a presiding and pervading cosmic spirit who receives all out of the transcendence and develops what descends into forms that are now an opaque disguise or a baffling half disguise, but destined to be a transparent revelation. That is what it is. Although it seems to be an accident, a chance happening that occurs for most of us, in essence, in truth, it is something else, the working out of which is going on uninterruptedly to its prefigured end, as we found. It's towards its destined end. Prefigured end means the divine already knew what he is going to do. So, it's a process only. It might seem to be a baffling half disguise, but destined to be a transparent revelation. The individual consciousness will recover its true sense and action, for it is the form of a soul sent out from the Supreme, and in spite of all appearances, a nucleus or nebula in which the Divine Mother Force is at work for the victorious embodiment of the timeless and formless divine in time and matter. So, this will reveal itself slowly to our vision and experience as the will of the Master of Works and as their own ultimate significance, which alone gives to world creation and to our own action in the world a light and a meaning. Otherwise, what is the meaning of our existence on this earth? Nothing. We have been doing all the things which we do as if it's the same thing we have been repeating birth after birth. Does it have a meaning? Of course not. But when we delve a little deeper, when we try to connect, try to know, try to understand what the divine has in store for us, He gives all the understanding, all the true knowledge. It will be a mistake to say knowledge, rather it's wisdom, pragna, the truth which is given to us as we progress. But before that, we have to go through a process to make our vessel ready for the downpour of the divine. He has to prepare our whole being, and it takes time. So, to recognize that meaning, the existence, the meaning of our existence, and to strive towards its effectuation is the whole burden of the way of divine works in the integral yoga. So, it's a chapter in the synthesis of yoga, the master of work, the yoga of divine works. So, Sri Aurobindo has left everything so beautifully for us to understand, first mentally, then gradually connect to our inner being, inner mind, and finally the inner core, that is the psyche, through which the true knowledge, true wisdom is or can be acquired. So he has given everything. Not only it is something which can be termed as intellectual writings, but it is a direct action. In Mother's words, what Sri Aurobindo represents in the world is not a teaching, not even a revelation. It is a direct action from the Supreme. And it is so true. So, gradually, we are just in the proper juncture in which the force is there to help us more rapidly, provided we give ourselves the chance, provided we take it seriously in our life, because it is not one of all those what we have been doing or what we are still doing, but it is the work of works, as he says in the Life Divine, the work of works. And whoever responds to the call in earnest is sure to get the decisive results. So that's it for the day.